Hi there, Smart Drivers. Rick with Smart Drive Test, talking to you today about speed control. I had a comment from Big Money Boss. He was having some difficulty down there in Colorado to maintain his speed at exactly 30 miles per hour, which is approximately 50 kilometers an hour here in Canada. Now, for those of you driving around in the city, it's unlikely that you're going to maintain a speed limit of 30 miles an hour for very long. It's more important to maintain the buffer of space around your vehicle that gives you room in which to maneuver and keeps your defensive posturing at a high level, as opposed to having high risk and being close to other vehicles and other fixed objects. So it's more important to maintain your buffer of space than it is to maintain a constant speed. But we do want to maintain a constant speed and have good throttle control. So today we're going to show you how to do good throttle control and go out on the road and maintain a speed. And one of the other things we're going to show you is how to do a scanning pattern that will help you to maintain and monitor your speed so that you can keep it at a constant level. You will be fluctuating somewhat to maintain that buffer of space, and as I said, that's more important than maintaining a constant speed. And in the cities, it's very unlikely that you're going to be maintaining a constant speed. So today, I'm going to give you some exercises. We're going to go back to the parking lot. We're going to do some work with the throttle. We're also going to do some work with the brake, and we're going to show you how to improve throttle control and improve your ability to maintain a constant speed while you're driving down the roadway. So stick around. We'll be right back with that information. Hi there, Smart Drivers. Welcome back. Rick with Smart Drive Test, talking to you today about speed control. So we're back in the parking lot. We're going to teach you some exercises to do speed control. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to work the throttle with the tachometer, and we're going to try and get the engine revs to a certain revolutions per minute. And most vehicles in this day and age are going to have a tachometer. If you don't have a tachometer, well, then you can't do this exercise. But if you can get into a vehicle that has a tachometer and do this exercise, this will really help you with your throttle control. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look down at our tachometer, and you can see that our tachometer is running at about 800 RPMs. That's the most common idle for a gasoline engine, or a petrol engine is it's going to idle around 800 RPMs in an electronic fuel injection engine. Most of the engines in this day and age are all going to be electronic fuel injection, so they're going to idle at that level. So basically all we're going to do is we're going to take the throttle and we're going to try and bring it up to 1000 RPM, and you just work that until you get it right to 1000. And you can see even I have a little bit of difficulty, but once I get it there, once I get to 1000 RPM right there, then I can just hold it there, and it is exactly what you want to do on the throttle. Now the other thing you want to do is play with the throttle a little bit. Just rev it up, feel what it feels like, feel the physical response in the motor when the motor responds and you kick the throttle down. So what does it feel like when I kick it down? And you can feel that there's a bit of a lag, especially the smaller the motors. If you got like a 1.8 liter or a 2 liter, they're not gonna respond right away. So just get a feel of what that feels like when you punch it down. Now the next thing you can do is you brought it up to 1000 and try to hold it, so now bring it up to 1500 and try and hold it at 1500. So just pick different numbers on the tachometer and try to get the engine RPMs up to that point, and then try and hold it there. This is one of the ways that you can improve your throttle control, is by simply trying to get the engine to rev up to a certain RPM on the tachometer. And you can see it's a bit trickier than when you would initially think. It's a lot easier to control the revolutions of the motor when it's under load. And you can see that I can get the RPMs to a certain point and I can hold them there. It's very easy for me to hold them there because the throttle doesn't really move around a whole lot. What is more difficult for me is to get an exact number on the tachometer. So I've got it at 1500 now, so now I'm able to hold it at 1500. Now I want to bring it up to 2000, and then I just hold it at 2000. So that's what I would suggest to you. Bring it up to 1000, hold it at 1000, bring it up to 1500, hold it at 1500, bring it up to 2000. I wouldn't bring it much above 2000 when you're just sitting here idling. So that's the first exercise that you can do. Just bring it up to a certain RPM on the tachometer, and punch it down a little bit as well. Just rev the motor. And you're not going to hurt the motor just revving it up and feeling what the throttle feels like. Now, the other thing we're going to do now that we've got it going, most of you are going to be in an automatic in North America. In other parts of the world, you're going to be in a standard transmission. I'm in a standard transmission, and for this, even though we're in a parking lot, do put your seatbelt on. Put the vehicle into a forward gear. Actually, what I would suggest in an automatic is put it down into a first gear. Put it right down into first gear, because what we're going to do here, and I'm going to turn my windshield wipers on because it's raining here in Vernon, is we're just going to get the vehicle going. And just drive in a straight line and be aggressive on the throttle. Same thing in reverse. And this is going to improve. So look behind you. There's nobody behind you in the parking lot. It's an empty parking lot. Let the clutch out and throttle up. And then hit the brake. This is going to teach you control of both the brake and the clutch. So back into a forward gear. If you're in an automatic, put it down into a low gear. That way it's not going to go, you're not going to get as much speed, but you're going to be able to work the throttle a little bit. Now just get it going. Push it right on the floor, let it off, and you can see my camera's banging around because I'm hammering down on the throttle in a first gear. And this is one of the things you need to do. You need to feel how the vehicle is going to respond when you hammer down on the throttle. Don't wait until you get out to an intersection or some other place in the traffic where you're going to get pressured and then you're going to hammer down on the throttle and something's going to happen. Actually go out to a parking lot and actually be aggressive on the primary controls, because that is going to teach you proper response to the primary controls. So we get going here, and you can see in first gear I revved it right up to 4,000 RPM, and that's what you need to do. You basically then you back up. Same thing with backing up. And you just do that in a straight line, backwards and forwards in a parking lot. And that will teach you both throttle control and brake control, because the other thing that you do when you drive forward and be hard on the brake. You saw my camera went forward. You need to feel what it's going to feel like when you're pushing hard on these pedals, on the brake and the throttle pedal, right? And just do this in a parking lot, somewhere where it's controlled and there isn't other people around, right? Because you don't want to have to worry about other pedestrians and cars and traffic and stuff. And at that point, the ABS engaged, and I'll leave a card up for you here in the corner on ABS, how to use the ABS, and go out and try the ABS and actually see if you can get it to engage, because that's how you can maintain throttle control in your vehicle and have better throttle control. All right, so that's one of the ways that you can learn throttle control. Have some fun. Go to the parking lot, goof around, be aggressive on it. I mean, if you got a tachometer, most of your tachometers will have a red line on it. You can see this one is about 6,200 is the red line. Don't red line it. Just bring it up to the red line. You're gonna have lots of throttle if you are bringing it up to 4,000 or 5,000 RPM in a small engine. That is going to really take off in a first gear. And like I said, if you're in an automatic, put it down into a low gear. That way you're not going to get as much speed. You're still going to get a lot of speed, but you're not going to get as much as if you're in drive, because in drive it's going to start shifting gears and it'll move ahead really quickly. And if you're in a standard transmission, a manual transmission, just leave it in first gear for this exercise of learning how to do speed control. Once you've done those exercises, then we're going to go out for a drive, and I'll show you how to do speed control out on the roadway. Today we're just going to work on speed control. We're out on the roadway here and it's 50 kilometers an hour, and we're just going to work on speed control. The first thing you need to do for speed control is you need a scanning pattern. So we're looking far down the road as far as we can. We're checking our center mirror. We're checking our instrument panel, because we want to check and make sure that we're on our speed control. If we're not on the speed that we're aiming for, then you need to make an adjustment on the throttle. Then you're going to check your wing mirrors and then back to the front. And that's the scanning pattern that you need. Once you put the scanning pattern in place and you're checking, and you should be, I'll just back up here a bit. Every time you're doing that scanning pattern, you should be going through that scanning pattern every 8 to 10 seconds. So your eyes should be constantly moving forward, center mirror, instrument panel, forward, wing mirrors, forward, instrument panel, back to the center mirror. So set up that scanning pattern that you're checking those different places all the time and your eyes are constantly moving. That way you're going to be checking the instrument panel every 8 to 10 seconds, and that way you're going to be able to monitor your speed control more. You're going to have more speed control. And as I said in the introduction, it's more important to have a buffer of space than it is to maintain speed. So at this juncture here, we're just following that vehicle in front of us that's trying to avoid all the potholes, and we want to maintain a buffer space. Now that vehicle is gone, now we want to maintain our constant speed of 50 kilometers an hour, 30 miles an hour. And we're looking forward, we're checking our mirrors, looking forward, checking our instrument panel, looking forward, wing mirrors, forward. So we're always alternating looking forward. So it's looking forward, checking something different, looking forward, checking something different. And I'm always coming back to my speedometer, my instrument panel, and checking my gauges. So see, I'm too high there. So I'm checking forward, checking my mirror, checking forward, checking my instrument panel, checking forward, checking my wing mirrors, checking forward, checking that. Nobody in the pedestrian crosswalk. And I can start to feel my foot going down a little bit and my speed starts to pick up. So checking there, checking forward, checking my instrument panel, looking forward, checking my wing mirrors, looking forward, checking my speed. As you can see, my speed is always climbing a little bit and I'm always adjusting it. So I'm always having a look down at my instrument panel and I'm always adjusting that speed back to 50 kilometers an hour. So if you're 2 or 3 kilometers an hour or you're 1 or 2 miles an hour, that's okay. That's perfectly acceptable. And you're going to get better as you practice this. And again, it's better if you get it out onto a straight stretch here where you can try to maintain one constant speed. Quick review of throttle control. Go back to the parking lot, work on the exercises that I showed you here in the video. So just try and get the tachometer to a certain level and try and hold it there at that level. It's fairly easy to hold it. It's more difficult to actually get it to 1,000 RPM or 1,500 RPM or 2,000 RPM. Now when the motor's just sitting there idling, I wouldn't try and hold it at idle much higher than 2,000 RPM. And you know, play with the throttle a little bit, spike it up, see how it feels, and then put the vehicle into a gear. If you're driving it automatic, put it down into one of the low gears, and then, you know, be fairly aggressive on the throttle. Try and figure out how it works, figure out what the response is of the vehicle as you're mashing down on the throttle. And of course, you know, do this in a parking lot where there aren't any other vehicles or any pedestrians or people walking around and those types of things. And just go in a straight line. That way you're not going to have to work the steering wheel. You're just working the throttle. And this way it'll also help you with the brake a little bit. You can be aggressive on the brake and whatnot. After you do those exercises in the parking lot, then go out on the roadway and try and pick a fairly long straight stretch and try and just maintain the posted speed limit and just try and keep it at that. And of course your scanning pattern is going to help you maintain your speed, because you can work on that and just take one lesson, isolate that. That's the one thing that you're working on, and that will help you to improve your throttle control overall. Question for my smart drivers: do you have any exercises for new drivers learning how to control the throttle? Leave a comment down in the comment section there. All of that helps out the new drivers working towards getting their license. I'm Rick with Smart Drive Test. Thanks very much for watching. If you like what you see here, share, subscribe, leave a comment down in the comment section. As well, hit that thumbs up button. Check out all the videos here on the channel if you're working towards a license or starting a career as a truck or bus driver. Lots of great information here as well. Head over to the website, great information over there, and awesome online courses that you can purchase. Stick around to the end of the video, funny bits and links to the other videos and to my website. Thanks again for watching. Good luck on your road test, and remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. Have a great day. Bye now. Pouring down rain here in Vernon. There's some guy walking around with his umbrella. Obviously he's going for his morning walk, but he just walked in behind my vehicle in a completely empty parking lot, which is a bit strange. But anyway, we will persevere and carry on here.